Whew, what a full keynote. I mean, I'm an Apple sheep and everything, but I like to watch keynotes, and this was Google's, and it was way better than Apple's last keynote, which was only an hour, and it was boring. Anyway, I gotta jump right into it. There's so much to cover. First off, the biggest probably announcement of the keynote, Google's version of Amazon Echo. It's pretty much exactly what the Echo is, except instead of calling it Alexa, you call it Google. It's called Google Home. You put it in your house, obviously, probably in several rooms, and you're able to access the power of OK Google from anywhere in the house, and it works with your phone. So yeah, just, Alexa. It looked kind of small though. It was smaller than I was expecting. You can customize the bottoms though. It's Google, you gotta be able to customize things. But I noticed how small it was, and it's probably gonna sound good. Usually when a big company puts effort into a speaker, it sounds surprisingly good. But if it's that small, it probably won't sound as good as like a Bose mini speaker or Amazon Echo. Because Echo is so big, it just has more subwoofer power. You'll probably want to hook up Google Home to other speakers, which is what it can do, which is good. You can stream it from your iPhone or Android phone, whatever. It'll be available in the fall, and price was not yet mentioned, but I'm predicting around $130 to $150. Google doesn't like to be the overpriced people. They like to be affordable and easy. So maybe even $99. Who knows? We'll find out later. So the next big announcement was Google's version of Messenger, which they're calling Allo, which was definitely made in the UK. I tweeted all about it. It's Allo, governor. Yeah, it's catchy. I like it. Good name choice. What it's doing differently is providing unique ways of texting. Probably the most obvious one is being able to control the font size. If you want to emphasize something, you can shout it or whisper it. That's how they defined it. So you can make certain text smaller or certain text bigger, and I'm hoping this is free. Yeah, it'll be free. And it'll be available later on this summer for iOS and Android, and I'm assuming it's like Messenger, where if you have Allo and this person has Allo, it's free texting, basically. You also get Google's power with your texting as you're going on. So if you talk about movies, you talk about food, if someone sends a picture, it'll analyze that picture, and then you can have Google anticipate what you want to say. Some were getting kind of oddly specific, like, oh, look at that exact breed of dog you sent me, good, or look at that Italian cuisine meal, or whatever. Oddly specific. But hey, if Google gets smart enough, we might not have to text at all. We could just keep sending these predictive things. The next announcement was Google's Duo. It's called Duo. It's not FaceTime. It's basically FaceTime. Except there's one key difference. With Duo, you get to see the person calling you before you pick up, which was clever. I thought that was useful because you know what they're doing and you know why they're calling you, but they don't see you right away. So, it was cool. And again, that'll be available on iOS and Android in the summer or later in the fall. Just, later. Of course, it'll be free, I'm sure. Next off, they started talking about Android N, the latest operating system update. And they actually still don't have a name yet for N, but they're letting people submit their ideas, which might go south fairly quickly. Usually when you give the internet that kind of control, it doesn't go well. My submission will be Android, not an iPhone. Apple sheep. Yep, that's me. Since Android is so customizable, kind of having an operating system update doesn't make major differences. But some of the ones they highlighted was when you double tap the recents button, it takes you to the previous app, which is what I always thought the back button was supposed to do. Anyway, most people probably won't find out about that. And you can do split screen on a smartphone. And they're like, oh, you can do it on tablets, but look, you can do it on a phone. I was like, wait a second, everyone's more interested in doing split screen on a tablet. Why would you do split screen on a smartphone? You don't have enough real estate on that screen to be doing multiple things at once. Don't do that. Bad idea. You can't focus on that many things on such a small screen. On a tablet, sure, it's big enough. Not a phone. So you're not gonna use that. I know you're not. But if you do, don't. If you do, don't. Just stop it. No. Next up was Android virtual reality. And you know my thoughts about virtual reality if you've seen my other videos. Whatever, I'll try not to be too biased. They're making it more official by calling everything that they're organizing for VR called daydreaming, which is a very fitting title given that, virtual reality, working out for everyone and everyone doing it is a daydream. Sorry, I'll try to stop. VR is cool. I'll shut up. Phones coming out by all the major smartphone developers will be optimized for daydream. You'll know about it. If they have the proper specs of, the resolution of the screen on the inside processor, all that, they'll say daydreamed optimized. And Google released this new Android VR remote, which is supposed to help you control inside Android VR's menus. But Google didn't actually unveil an official headset, which a lot of people thought they were going to. But they want to leave that to third parties, which they do often. They're Google. And that remote will work with those goggles, and you'll have more of like a very cheap version of the HTC Vive experience, because there's only one remote to control wands or, I don't know, play games. Tons of Android apps like the music, the videos. You can pretend you're in a movie theater. So yeah, they're making VR more official and accessible. And all of those Android VR features will be delivered in Android N. Then they discussed Android Wear, which they amazingly convinced a bunch of people is still a thing. Okay, sorry, listen. Fitbit is the #1 wearable, as in smart tech. Xiaomi is #2, the Chinese company, which I guess they're China, which China ensures that their companies do better than everyone else in their country. So they're #2. And then #3 is the Apple Watch. Watch, which has been declared the #1 smartwatch, because Fitbit is a wearable. This is a wearable, but it's also, you know, smart. Works with the phone, has apps on it. That's what a smartwatch is. And this has outsold Android Wear, not even a competition. It's the best-selling smartwatch. People agree this is the best smartwatch out there you can get. If you're into smartwatches, this is as good as it gets. The amount of Android watches sold over time put together don't equal how many Apple Watches were sold when Apple unveiled it on the first day, within 24 hours. And Android Wear had been around for 2 years. It's so low in sales, but they didn't emphasize that. They just emphasized, look at how many different watches there are. And yet every single presenter had the same model watch. They had different bands, but they were all the same, I don't know, LG something. So much for not the same in the Android slogan, right? You know, don't be the same, be different, but you know, this is the best smartwatch, we all use it. But besides all that, they announced Android Wear 2.0. And I went, wait, you've never had a major update before? You've been around for like how many years now? About 3 years, and there's never been a 2.0? Wow, okay, well, there you go. So Android Wear 2.0 allows, like, you know, the 30 people who own one to customize the watch face with widgets more. watchOS 2 on the Apple Watch did that not long ago. Whatever, that's cool. Also, they really wanted to emphasize that you don't need a smartphone for Android Wear to work. It's independent of the phone, which if you watch my Apple Watch videos or my smartwatch videos in general, you understand why I think smartwatches should be dependent on smartphones. It's really silly to think that you can just have the watch do everything for you. Just carry your phone around. It's not that heavy. Jeez, just get used to having it with you. And then after the Android Wear discussion, they talked a lot about developers, all that mumbo jumbo. If you're watching this and you are a developer, just watch the actual thing. There's so many things they covered. The coolest one is they're working on a way for you to try out apps without actually installing them. So you could just tap on the app and have it working even though you haven't downloaded it and then installed it. I thought that was cool. I'm all for that. But if you're a developer, you should really just watch the whole thing. Come on. What were you doing today? So what does the Apple sheep think of all this? Am I allowed to talk, or is everyone just gonna say fanboy bias down below? You always say that. So how about this? If you're insulted by my Apple biased comments, just leave now. You heard what you needed. I was already biased enough. Now it's gonna get worse, so take your time. Leave, close the window, hit the like button, subscribe if you want, I don't care. Dislike if you want, I don't care. You gone? You gone? All right, we got our Apple fans still here. Let's begin the hate. So here's my question. If you want a smart speaker, why haven't you bought one already? Amazon's been doing this for quite a while. They got a wireless one, a wired one that sounds really good, and one that can plug into any speaker. Those are available right now and they're really affordable. And they won't get confused with all the OK Google stuff on your other phones. And in the video, they showed that the phone was right in the guy's pocket. So when he shouts OK Google to Google Home, isn't that gonna set it off on his Android watch and his Google phone? Because they're supposed to be able to hear that even when turned off, right? Won't that create an annoyance when all of them start responding at the same time? You can't differentiate between the devices. Next, if only 7% of all Android users are using Marshmallow, why are you expecting so many people to like Android N? Your latest thing is not working on many people's phones at all. They just don't care for it. They don't want it. Most of the Android users I know really don't care about how the operating system works because you can customize everything so much it doesn't matter. I like that you can move around with the new Android VR stuff. I'm glad that it's not connected to a giant computer, but if you have a remote, aren't you gonna be swinging around in public? If you're in public, you got your bag there and you put on goggles. Why don't you right across those goggles, rob me? I can't see anything. And then people take your bag, I don't know, take your keys, you get pickpocketed, or you're gonna hit someone on accident. Doing VR on the go never made sense to me. I don't know, I can't get around VR. I'm sorry. Anyway, all hate aside, I like Google, guys. I just think we got not a huge amount of originality in this keynote. What we got was their version of lots of people's other stuff. We got Google's version of Amazon Echo. We got Google's version of Facebook Messenger. We got Google's version of FaceTime. And we got Google's version of Samsung VR. And then the innovative part, Android N, really doesn't change much because that's the issue with Android, right? You can change so much that when there's a software update, it really doesn't make a difference. I guess apps run faster and stuff, but I thought your processor was supposed to be all cool and hip, and that's how it would do well. I'm proud of what they're doing. Google is a services company, and I guess this was just the catch-up keynote to make sure that they have their foot in every playing field. Messaging, FaceTime, whatever. All right, that's enough. What are you most excited for that Google I/O release? Tell me in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.